Hi guys, and welcome back to Chaos Head NoAH. Yeah, last episode was a lot of suffering. Well, yesterday in general, because I recorded so much. But, yeah, I decided that I'm just gonna save the delusions for their own video, and, in the meantime, I'm gonna take care of this, Nanami route here. And once I take care of that, up next, I'll record all of the, delusions I have yet to see, and, then I can just get to the good stuff, because, yeah. That last delusion in particular was so awful that my recording equipment literally failed me midway through it. So, yeah, that was delightful. In reality, I just ran out of space on my laptop because I am the absolute worst at managing my hard drive space. But I took care of it, so I should be good for any further long recordings. But, yeah. I will be honest and say I am dreading this route, but, just gotta go through with it. Get this incest over with and hope there's some juicy lore at the core of it. So, anyways, it was... yeah, this... Oh, whoops. Wait, no, sorry. I was supposed to pick positive. I played a little bit the positive yesterday before I, had it crash, so I'll just go ahead and show... I mean, after I had it crash and before I realized it, so I'll just go ahead and, show this. Nanami still wasn't answering. Please pick up. Pick up the phone already. Oh, she picked up.
ななみななみななみでしょ返事しろよ今どこにいるんだ大丈夫なの何か言ってななみ
実は
Huh? What the? Something weird was going on. It was almost like I was hearing Nanami not just through the phone, but from somewhere really close by, too.
お前一体どこにいるんだ
あのね上
My gaze wandered upward. Something was moving on top of my bed. A person. Someone was wriggling around up there, and because of how little space they had, eroge cases crumbled to the floor as they did. Don't tell me.
そこにいるの
見つかっちゃったって
My guess had been right. Nanami peeked out from atop the bed with an apologetic look on her face. Had she just been hiding this whole time? But since when?
何がてへだよそれより車椅子の怪しいやつに会わなかったか
As she got off the bed, I examined her from top to bottom to see if she was hurt anywhere.
鬼ちょっと落ち着いてってば
聞いてるんだ答えろよお前本当に大丈夫なのか
それって将軍のことだよね
まさかあったのかどこで何をされた
She's known him her whole life. I grabbed Nanami by the shoulders, desperately pressing her for an answer. Jesus Christ. Yes, Nanami could be a huge brat, but if Shogun had defiled her, it'd be all my fault. Shogun had put his hands on her as a means to provoke me. To him, she was just collateral damage.
ごめん
I was so ashamed I started to cry. I was causing problems not just for myself, but for those around me. Harmless otaku, my ass. I was a failure, not just as a brother, but as a human being. I was scum, complete and utter scum.
お兄、泣いてるの？もしかして、ナナのことを心配してくれてる？
ごめん、僕のせいで。
泣かないでよ。困ったな。実は、あの将軍のメール、ナナのいたずらなんだ。
は？
I couldn't process what she'd said. I was stunned.
つまり、将軍ってナナだったの。最初からずっと。お兄があまりにもナナの相手してくれないから、ちょっとからかうつもりで、つい。だからね、ナナは誰にも何にもされてないし、全くピーピーしてるよ。お兄が泣くことなんてないの。わかった？
お前。
I was relieved. Upon learning that she'd deceived me, the release of all my tension and fear made me cry even harder. I couldn't believe that she'd do that to me, and I was pretty upset that she'd been screwing with me for so long, but none of that mattered right now.
ふざけんなよ。
ごめん。本当にごめんね、お兄。
If only this was what was actually happening.
差し入れ持ってきたから、それで許して。
She held her hands together as if in prayer as she apologized to me, and then she cheerfully took out a paper box that had been hidden in the corner. Inside the box were 4 tiny cakes, 2 Mont Blancs and 2 cheesecakes.
どう？美味しそうでしょ？まあ、当然だよね。ナナの手作りだもん。お兄のために作ったんだからね。ほら、一緒に食べよう。
Nanami put the box on my desk and placed 2 cakes each on 2 different paper plates that she'd set out. No idea where they'd come from, though.
ねえお兄、ナナのこと心配してくれてありがとう。すごく嬉しかった。お兄にもいいところあるじゃん。泣いちゃったのはちょっと情けなかったけどね。
Shut your mouth, you lying, backstabbing bitch. My pride had been torn to shreds. I'd been deceived, betrayed, and I'd even ended up crying. I couldn't believe how pathetic I was, how stupid I was.
でも、お兄がナナのお兄でよかった。
She smiled at me happily. It was a more peaceful sight than I was used to. How nice it would be if that was what actually happened. Yeah, that was nothing more than an overly convenient, easy to swallow delusion of mine. Nanami still hadn't picked up, and the sound of someone's ringtone continued to echo throughout the room. The melody was a happy-go-lucky one, something that was in harsh contrast to my current state of mind. The sense of dread within me was growing. There was no getting around it. Nanami's phone was in this room. I couldn't think of any other explanation. I couldn't avert my eyes from reality anymore. Whoosh, trauma! Oh no, it's Timfla. I believe we have hit the divergence point. There is blood but no hand. A phone and a ghetto froggy, but no hand. Interesting. Lying in the foil was a phone identical to mine. A phone with blood splattered all over it. I understood all too clearly what it meant. Chapter 7, Daydream. I could no longer concentrate. Unable to take it anymore, I whipped open the door to my base and leapt outside. This is a delusion. My whole whole body was exuding an insane amount of moisture, covering me in an unpleasant, greasy sweat. The nightly wind felt colder than usual. The moment my feet hit the chilly concrete, I immediately realized I wasn't wearing any shoes. I had to go. I had to do what Shogun had said. I had to go to Ofrant. Obviously, I was scared, and obviously I didn't want to go. All I wanted to do was curl up in my room and hug my knees in fear. But I felt that if I didn't, something horrible would happen to Nanami. I wonder if this is gonna be like a thing of where, because we've made him fall in love with her, he now cares about her so much that he's actually going to go through with the D-Sword shenanigans this time. Which is exactly what Suwa was trying to make him do. Which could result in some pretty terrible stuff happening.
The tears refused to stop. Even if I wiped my eyes, my sight was still constantly blurred. Nanami. My whimpers were even more pathetic than I'd expected them to be, to the point where I felt like throwing up. I shook my head back and forth, desperately trying to shove down the weakness swelling up within me. Even the slightest amount of hesitation here would mean I'd never leave for Ofrant. So I had no choice but to keep up my momentum. I'm too worried about Nanami, so I just can't stand around. And with that thought, I bolted away from my room. Don't lose this momentum. Make it to Ofrant, and things might just work out. Hurry up and put your shoes on. After that, grab your Seroton figure as a good luck charm. And then, run. Just run. Run as hard as you possibly can. Right now, you're Nanami's only hope. I clenched my teeth, and then, right as I was moving back to my base to grab my shoes, I thought I heard something. I sprang up in surprise, and then, when I turned toward where the sound had come from, I saw a person.
What the hell?
Nanami? I rubbed my eyes, then took another look at her face. It was Nanami. I would know her face anywhere.
Nanami!
I rushed to her side. For some reason, she was completely naked. Her head hung toward the ground lifelessly, and I couldn't make out the expression on her face. Every few seconds, her slender body trembled.
Nanami!
Even though I'd rushed over to her, I still had absolutely no clue what had happened to her, nor what to do in response. All I could do was call her name over and over. What I really wanted to do was hug her, but the thought that she might then think I was a pervert made me hesitate. Sluggishly, Nanami's head lifted up toward me.
Is she like doing her weird astral projection thing again?
Her face was pale, and her lips were somehow worse. I felt like she was on the verge of death.
Oh, I see. The weird delusion blurriness stopped because I assumed they met mutual recognition, so now she's actually here, I think.
I felt like she was on the verge of death. Her eyes were vacant and hollow, and yet when she looked toward me, I could see large tears spilling from the corners of them.
Oni... Nana は
どうしたんだよお前大丈夫なの
In response to my question, she shook her head lightly from side to side.
ナナはなんでここにいるのよく思い出せないよ
In any case, I quickly looked her over to see if she was injured. Of course, I didn't want to seem like I was deliberately looking at anything I shouldn't. Maybe it was...
Oh my gosh, do we need to do this right now during what should be a serious moment?
I mean, it wasn't like I was after my blood-related sister or anything. Seeing her naked one didn't do the slightest. At least she didn't seem injured. Wait, then whose blood was on that cell phone? You know what? I just worry about that later.
とにかく寒いから中に。
I held out my hand to her. She was pretty slow to react. Her trembling showed no signs of stopping. She looked like a newborn fawn. Nanami grasped my hand. She was cold. So cold, in fact, that I unintentionally let out a yelp.
お前冷えすぎだろ。
Bracing myself for her getting mad at me, I touched her bare shoulders. She was cold to the touch. Should I get a hot shower ready for her? Or should I make her something hot to drink first? Regardless of which, I couldn't just leave her naked here. This wasn't a situation in which I could care about what she would think.
I only just realized that this stuff outside of his base is all of the basic amenities he'd need.
I tried to pick the cleanest thing I could find to put on Nanami, but my lifestyle didn't exactly make that very easy. I didn't have many clothes for wearing in public at all, really. So, reluctantly, I'd given her my brand new blood-tuned sweatshirt that I'd been hanging on to for safekeeping. Then made her some instant coffee. Generally, coffee wasn't my thing, but I could remember Nanami bringing some over a long while back, saying Mom and Dad had made her. It hadn't expired quite yet, so it should have been fine.
I just realized maybe she does indeed have her parents at their house and they are worried about Takumi, but Takumi isn't actually given the desire or the actual location of his parents, so he can't go up to them and then they're like, wait, who the hell are you?
Nanami was sitting quietly on the sofa. She still looked pale, but her shivering had stopped. Seemed getting fresh clothes helped her body stabilize. I silently handed over the cup of coffee, and she meekly accepted it.
ありがとう。
She wrapped the cup with both hands and stared fixedly at the surface of the dark liquid.
ブラックだね。
砂糖とかミルクとか、そんな気の利いたものはここにはないんだ。
Likely understanding the situation, she pursed her lips and blew on the coffee. And then she slowly raised the cup to her mouth.
熱っ。
Was she not good with hot things? I couldn't remember if she'd always been like that. Though it didn't help that I never paid much attention to details like that to begin with. Nanami started chugging the coffee like her life depended on it. Her cheeks were turning rosier, so her body was probably heating up as it moved through her.
お兄、このコーヒー熱いよ。
じゃあ飲むな。
飲むけど。
You can either whine or be honest, but you can't do both. Then again, her complaining was probably a sign that she was feeling better.
なあ、一体何があったの？
Okay, this is very interesting. We seem to be going in and out of a delusionary state. Like, part of this is real, part of this is a delusion. What the heck is going on?
Finally, I'd managed to suck it up and ask her what was on my mind. When I'd seen the cell phone covered in blood, I thought for sure that Shogun had kidnapped her. But in the end, it turned out to be nothing. And now I had no reason to go to Elfront. I could just stay here with Nanami. I still didn't understand what had happened, though. Nanami had very clearly been naked outside. Her abnormally low body temperature was also puzzling. In response to my question, Nanami stared blankly into her cup.
I think worst case scenario, she somehow made a clone of herself like Shogun did. And in that case, things will get very awkward very quickly.
In response to my question, Nanami stared blankly into her cup.
わかんない。自分でもなんでお兄の部屋の前にいたのかよく思い出せないの。
Don't tell me. Did she have amnesia?
シワだらけの子供に会わなかった。車椅子に乗ってる怪しいやつなんだけど。
うん。
携帯なくしたよな。
なくしたのかな。そもそもナナの服どこに置いてきちゃったんだろう。
誰かにひどいことされなかったか。
ひどいことって？
We know she kept her clothes on during the torture, so yeah, I'm thinking it's more and more likely that somehow she's been cloned.
Well, that's in more eroge-like terms. You weren't raped or anything.
I mean, that's kind of just... Or,
I could never say anything. I could never say that out loud.
everything's an eroge term to him.
I mean, I hadn't seen any injuries on her, so that didn't seem likely anyway. As if she had just remembered something, her head shot up.
バングル。お兄にもらったバングルなくしちゃった。
Not the shit again.
そりゃ服も持ち物もないんだから。バングルもないだろ、常識的に考えて。
うん、そうなんだけど。
I mean, she has her hairband on, probably because they just didn't want to draw her with her hair down.
なんでだろう。バングルだけはなくしちゃったことを思い出して。
どこでなくしたの？
それはわかんないけど。
Oh no, I'm starting to think this may actually indeed be a clone. She was literally just born. She has no memories whatsoever to speak of. Probably because it wasn't as sophisticated of a cloning as Shogun making Takumi.
Nanami was really disheartened. She must have been thinking that I was gone for good, and that we'd never find it now. Hearing her story, well, it still didn't tell me a thing about what had happened. Should I take her to the hospital? Before that, maybe I should contact her parents. That way, they could come and pick her up.
ねえお兄、今日
Delusion again.
ここに泊まっちゃダメ？
なんでだよ。
なんだかナナ混乱しててわけわかんなくてあんまり動きたくないよ。
I'd say we should take you to the police, but yeah, the new gen killer is literally one of them.
Well, her usual volume was at an all-time low, so I didn't see an issue with her staying the night.
親には連絡しとけよ。
I approached the cardboard box that I had left in the corner. I then took out the blood-smeared cell phone. After carefully wiping down the phone with a wet wipe, I handed it to Nanami.
ナナの携帯だ。
これ送ってきたのってナナミなの？
Should probably check her for cuts.
Nanami tilted my head. Stupid of me to ask.
親に連絡したらシャワー浴びてこいよ。体温めた方がいいと思うし。
My shower was outside. It was a prefab shower of sorts. It was situated right next to my container. I'd been forced to set up the drainage and whatnot myself. It was more than usable. It was typically what I used after all. Since I didn't have a bathtub, I just used the nearby public bath whenever I was in the mood for something longer.
うん浴びてくる。ねえ一緒に。
I mean, I guess it's reasonable in this case, but still, I know where this is going.
My sister gone totally fucking bonkers. When she saw how taken aback I was, Nanami gave a strained laugh.
違うよ。一緒に入るわけないじゃん。でも一人で外に出るのなんだか怖くて。
Okay, I guess that makes sense. Randomly waking up outside completely naked. No idea how you got there or what happened to you. It must be pretty freaky.
だからナナがシャワー浴びている間声が聞こえるところにいてほしいなって。ダメかな。
She pleaded at me with puppy dog eyes, but all it did was make me groan internally. This was bad. She was starting to turn ever so slightly moe.
わかったよ。
Since Nanami was feeling so weak, just for today, I'd do the brotherly thing. What was that? In my sleep, I'd faintly heard a noise. What exactly was it? Where had I heard it before? Oh, I know. It was a cell phone vibrating. Was someone trying to call me? Wait, someone was calling my phone? Was something that unusual actually happening? Or was it the usual you may pass prank call I'd been getting lately? If so, then no way was I answering it. I passed out for over an hour last time because of how eerie it had been. So I simply ignored the call and tried to fall back asleep. But now that I was aware of the noise, it was even harder than ever to drive it out of my mind. Whoever the caller was, they were persistent. Their calls kept coming one after the other.
You realize it could be your parents, right?
I opened my eyes, only to realize I was lying on the floor. Nanami ought to have been asleep on the couch, and yet she wasn't there. Where had she gone? The bathroom? Or had she canceled her plans to stay overnight and just headed back home? The cell phone continued vibrating all throughout my weak, groggy attempt at getting up. It had gone on for over 3 minutes now. My answering machine should have kicked in, but I guess I'd forgotten to set it up. Tired of the caller's sheer persistence, I grabbed the cell phone off my PC desk. Delusion, the incoming call was from a restricted number. Okay, then I had no idea who it was. I didn't really want to answer it, but...
もしもし。誰？
It was Nanami. I breathed a sigh of relief. Where the hell had she even been calling from? Was she even calling from? It had only been a few hours. What happened to her being exhausted and not wanting to leave?
ナナミか。どこにいるんだ？
右手を返して。
The same phone call.
ナナの右手。
I disconnected. Nothing she'd said made any sense to me. STFU. What the hell kind of prank was this? Fuck off, Nanami. God damn it. I felt stupid for even worrying. Since she seemed to be doing just fine now, I guess I didn't need to look for her. I was exhausted beyond belief, so I definitely didn't have the energy to deal with pranks. Lying back down, I tossed the phone away and closed my eyes. Waking up to the sound of Seraton's voice, I noticed Nanami was still absent. Had she headed home without telling me, or had she gone to school instead?
I think it's probably a similar phenomenon to when the fake Nanami appeared to him in ending A, and he tried to hug her and she disappeared.
What was the date today, even? Did my attendance charts say this was a school day? My mind was caught in a haze. Man, I was still half asleep. What time was it right now? Without getting up from the floor, I continued being hazily lost in thought when...
あ、お兄やっと起きた。
After opening the door, Nanami's face peered inside.
帰ったんじゃないのか。
帰ってないよ。泊まるって言ったじゃん。
ということは、やっぱり昨日の深夜のあれはいたずらだったんだな。もう二度とやるな。
いたずら？何のこと？
Nanami tilted her head, playing all innocent. Was she really gonna drag this out by pretending she hadn't done anything? Don't think you can trick me so easily. I'm not that stupid. All things considered, after taking the night to decompress and giving it a look with fresh eyes, I couldn't help but notice how dangerous Nanami's outfit was. Yes, because you didn't give her pants, you just gave her a shirt. Other than switcheros, of course, nothing. Yep, nothing at all. Completely commando. Every time Nanami moved her arms, the hem would ever so slightly lift, and each time it did, I swear I came this close to catching a glimpse of her unmentionables.
お兄、どこ見てんの？
どこも。
Nanami stretched the hem down, concealing her upper inner thighs. Very important details.
そんな伸ばすな。そのトレーナー貴重なんだぞ。
ナナよりトレーナーが心配なんだ。お兄のバカ。言っとくけど、下着を履いてるもんね。
Oh, you do? That's too bad.
Wait, I didn't mean that. Chill out, Neem. Don't get all horny over your sister. Oh, wait, how the hell had she even gotten underwear?
Well, at least she was back to her usual Nanami antics. That was something, I guess. She'd been feeble as all hell yesterday. Maybe she'd gotten over it after a good night's sleep. There was a remarkably pleasant smell in the air. It smelled like someone was cooking bacon.
ねえねえ、お兄も朝ごはん食べる？
Delusion bacon.
朝ごはん。
今作ってるんだけど。
My base is kitchen. Well, it's sink. It's placed right next to the shower with no real care. For the record, I didn't get any gas up here. My solution to that was to just use a portable stove I'd gotten cheap from an online auction. I never cooked my own meals, so it was likely stashed away in a corner or something. I guess Nanami must have gone through the trouble of digging it out of hiding. WTF.
メニュー。
サンドイッチとベーコンエッグ。ここのキッチンじゃあんまり凝ったもの作れないしね。それにお兄は貧乏舌だからむしろシンプルなものの方がいいかなって。
My typical breakfast was just a combo of cola and a bean bun or something. It'd been a real long time since I actually had anything decent. Besides, I couldn't help but revel in the bliss that my sister had cooked it herself, just for me. In my mind, this definitely made up for yesterday's prank.
よし。さっさと用意しろ。
うわー偉そう。まったく少しは感謝してよね。
止めてやったんだから。むしろそっちが感謝しろよ。
それもそうかも。 じゃあ一応感謝感謝。
I assumed she was going to bow her head to me, but she didn't end up doing that. Instead, Nanami headed straight back outside with a smile on her face.
お兄、外で食べようよ。折りたたみ式のテーブルあったでしょ。それ持ってきて。
Damn it, the nerve of her putting a guy that had just woken up to work. If I did this but the food sucked, she was gonna have hell to pay.
Music stopped, which means she... Oh, never mind.
I set up a small folding table and some chairs, the kind you'd use for camping and whatnot, then waited about 5 minutes. When Nanami finally finished making the food, she carried it over to the table and set it down. At the very least, it looked pretty appealing. Nanami had been our mom's helper in the kitchen for as long as I could remember. Suffice it to say, her cooking skills were pretty passable. Well, she was definitely lucky, because if she sucked at cooking, she wouldn't be able to pull the sheepish smile and the oopsie daisy tee-hee only 2 girls had that right. I'd immediately go soft if my 3D sister did that IRL. Now, I'd probably never talk to her again. Nanami flashed a smile as she sat down next to me.
なんで隣に座るんだよ。
She was really close. Her shoulders were almost touching. There's no way I could eat when she was this close. It'd be too embarrassing. So I put a bit of space between us.
だってここに椅子が置いてあったんだもん。
Dude, that's your sister.
お兄が置いたんでしょ。
No, yeah, I did, but the chair's just for camping. It's not even 30 centimeters tall, and it's light enough that even a girl could carry it with one hand. So it's not like it's a big deal to move it a little. Quit your bitching.
もういいよ。ほら、お兄、食べなよ。いただきまーす。
Nanami clapped her hands together and hurriedly readied her chopsticks. Her appetite seemed to be a lot stronger than before. Just in general, she seemed to be doing way better now. The fact that she'd been so weak at all yesterday almost didn't seem real. Oh, oddly enough, the more I thought about it, the more I felt like it didn't just seem not real, that it actually hadn't been real. She'd been lying. Naturally, there was only a single reason for her to be lying.
大好きなお兄と一緒にいたくて嘘ついちゃったの。
Something along those lines.
Oh, what kind of eroge did I think this was? Our, family.
Of course, I'd answer like so.
But I refuse.
お兄、なんかニヤニヤしてる。また変な妄想でもしてた？
She'd hit the nail on the head, and my head instantly shot toward the table. Picking up a sandwich, I stuffed my mouth full.
Sorry if I was talking too deep. My throat is kind of a little dead from yesterday, so I didn't realize at first.
The ham sandwich had the perfect amount of mustard mayonnaise sauce. It was incredibly basic, just lunch meat, sauce, and bread. But considering I didn't stockpile any form of seasoning around here, it was pretty damn good.
でしょでしょ。わざわざ朝早くに24時間やってるスーパーに行っていろいろ買ってきたんだよ。
買ってきたって、その格好でどんだけ知性なんだよ。
Who the hell cares? I've seen people just in sweaters before. Okay.
知女じゃないもん。このままで外歩けるわけないじゃん。 ちゃんとお兄のズボン借りてそれ履いて行ってきたよ。下着だって買ってきたし。
So she bought herself some underwear. Meaning that until then, she hadn't been wearing any. No bra, no panties, only a sweatshirt and some pants. Now that was just wonderfully scandalous.
Dude, that's your sister.
本当はこのトレーナーも着替えたかったんだけどさ、アニメの絵が描いてあって結構恥ずかしいし。でもお兄が着せてくれたんだから勝手に着替えちゃうのも悪いかななんて。
Mainstream women not understanding Seroton's appeal was exactly what made them so awful. That said, if I had to walk through Shibuya or even Akiba like that, I probably wouldn't have the guts.
それでお金は
ちょうどね、借りたズボンに財布が入ってたから大丈夫だったよ。
A gut. She really just said that while her small-ass mouth munched on some bacon. It all worked out. Like hell it worked out.
その財布僕のだろ。僕の金使ったのかよ。
だってナナ、昨日お財布もなくしちゃったもん。
だからって勝手に使うなよ。
I voiced my complaints to Nanami, but she just wasn't listening. Dejected, I squished the half-cooked yolk in my bacon and eggs.
財布もなくしちゃったし、学校のカバンもどっか行ったし、それにバングルがなくなっちゃったのが一番ショック。
Yeah, I think I'm the one who's in pain here. Just because I've got loads of money sitting around from RMT doesn't mean I'm a fan of getting stolen from.
あんな安物のバングルなんかなくしたってどうってことないだろ。常識的に考えて。
Besides, I'd given it to her free of charge, so it wasn't like she'd suffered any damages. So why the hell was she so fixated on this stupid thing? Nanami squirmed in her seat.
だって初めてお兄からもらったプレゼントだったんだもん。すごく嬉しかったのに。
You're not fooling anyone. Saying cute shit like that isn't gonna make me forget about how you took my money without asking.
ナナね、絶対見つけ出すから。なくしたままにしておくなんてできないよ。
For some reason, she tightly clenched her fists as she said that. As I inadvertently watched her do so, my eyes drifted toward the cuff of her right hand and landed on a white bandage. A bandage that gave me an awful, awful feeling.
Wait, was that on her earlier? I guess I can't check.
その包帯
I feel like I would have noticed if I saw a bandage.
あ、これ？
When I pointed it out, Nanami took the time to roll up her sleeve and show it off. There was definitely a bandage on her right wrist, even though yesterday, back when she'd been cowering next to my base completely naked, there had been no such thing.
Okay, I'm not crazy.
右手を返して。ナナの右手。
Oh, I see. This was a continuation of yesterday's prank, wasn't it? Pretty damn elaborate plan. What the hell was she trying to accomplish, though?
そんな包帯外せよ。いたずらにしたって悪趣味だよ。
Better not say whose eyes are those eyes again.
いたずらなんかじゃないよ。朝起きてから右手がちょっとズキズキするの。
Yep, she's a projection.
原因はわかんないけど、とりあえず包帯買って巻いたんだ。
ズキズキ痛むのに包帯だけ巻いたって意味ないだろ。
包帯だけのわけないじゃん。ちゃんと湿布も貼ったよ。
だったら湿布だけでいいじゃないか。わざわざ包帯を巻く意味がわからない。
そうだけど、ほら、病は気からって言うし。
What are you even trying to say? And I'm pretty sure you reversed those.
いいから取れよ。
Despite the fact that I was acting rude on the outside, and also gulping down my sandwich, on the inside, my heart was pounding out of my chest. I was probably just overthinking things, but if the phone call from Nanami yesterday hadn't been a prank, then the Nanami being sick really had been just an act. And in reality, something really bad was going on with her. Something she was trying to hide from me.
もう、ほんと、わがままなお兄だな。
Despite looking reluctant, Nanami undid the bandage. I was confused by her surprising obedience. I guess I really had just been overthinking things. Looking away from her arm for a sec, I brought some bacon and eggs to my mouth.
はい、取ったよ。
I gulped once, and then slowly, my sister's arm took over my sight. Underneath the bandage, it was as normal as could be. Not a scratch on her, not even any internal bleeding. She'd even bothered to take the wet compress off, even though I hadn't asked her to. I grabbed Nanami's hand, brought my face in for a closer inspection.
お兄？
傷なんてない。
Well, she isn't Thanosing out of existence whenever he grabs her, because he's grabbed her shoulders and now he's grabbed her arms.
何にもない。
あるなんて一言も言ってないよ。ズキズキするんだって説明したじゃん。
Oh, I guess you did. I knew I'd just been overthinking things. I guess that email yesterday from Shogun had still been on my mind, leading me to freak out at anything even remotely suspicious. Wait, WTF?
くそ、お前の腕が湿布さ。
I couldn't help but grimace as I let go of Nanami's arm.
そんなの当たり前じゃん。女の子に臭いって言うなんて最低。バカ鬼。
うるさい。さっさと飯食って学校行け。
I had no interest in wasting any more valuable time with Nanami's annoying nitpicking bullshit.
あ、そっか。学校か。でも制服ないのにどうやって行こう。
確かに。
今日は学校休んで家に帰ろっと。ブラウスとスカートの替えはあるけど、ブレザーはどうしよう。新しく買ってもらうしかないかな。
As Nanami continued muttering to herself about what her plans were, I gave her one last sidelong glance, wolfed down the rest of my container, then went back into the container house.
But does she know how to get home? Static.
28日未明、渋谷区小東の路上で男性の変死体が発見されました。
She ate her frickin' fingers and hand.
被害者は練馬区に住む橋谷康之さん31歳で、死因は異物を喉に詰まらせたことによる窒息死とみられています。
What the? Instead of a woman, it was a man this time. Interesting.
被害者の口にはハサミで細かく切り刻まれた大量の布が詰め込まれており、また胃の中からも同様の布が多数見つかりました。
What the heck?
The heck are you up to, Suwa?
警察の発表によりますと、布は渋谷区にある私立水明学園の女子冬用制服である可能性が高いとのことです。
Sua made him eat Nanami's uniform.
水明学園は現場から徒歩で3分ほどの距離にあり、警察では事件との関連を調べています。
Dominatrix. That is probably the worst name so far. It's just like
Another new case. And since it couldn't have just been a normal murder, a girl's winter uniform from Swanima had been cut up with scissors and jammed into the victim's throat, choking him.
And now we know that these murders are done specifically to screw with Takemi, so there has to be some objective behind this.
Oh god, was that uniform Nanami's? It had to be. It couldn't be just a coincidence. The timing was too perfect. It really was Shogun. Whatever that guy's goal was, it must have involved kidnapping Nanami and tearing off her uniform. That asshole was 100% trying to provoke me. I was next. I was gonna be the next person to die.
お兄、どうしたの？
Now you're literally the motive for the murders.
Nanami called out from behind me, nearly making me tumble out of my chair.
顔色悪いみたいだけど。
ななみ。
I reached a hand out to Nanami.
僕は殺される。
殺されるって、そんな冗談やめてよ。
本当なんだ。間違いない。あいつは次こそ僕を狙ってくる。ななみごめん、僕のせいで。あいつはお前のこと誘拐して。僕はそうすれば。怖い。怖いよ。
As pathetic as it was to do this in front of my sister, my heart couldn't take it anymore. I wanted to cling to someone who could protect me. I hadn't heard a thing from Rimi lately. Ayase was hospitalized. There wasn't anyone else to protect me. But right as I thought that, Nanami gently took hold of my outstretched hand.
もう、本当にはダメだな。一人じゃ何にもできないんだから。きっとゲームのやりすぎで疲れてるんだよ。今日はパソコンはやらずにソファーで横になってた方がいいよ。
僕を一人にしないで。
わかったから。お兄を一人になんかしないよ。
本当？
ほんと。昨日はナナがお兄に優しくしてもらったから、そのお礼。
ななみ。
At the end of the day, family really was who you should keep closest. Whether you actually needed something, everyone else would disappear on you. They were all useless where it actually mattered. The only thing that could well and truly support me in my time of need was family. Nanami lending me a hand was such a relief, I could barely keep myself from bursting into tears. I clung to Nanami's hand.
甘えん坊だね、お兄って。これじゃあナナがお姉さんで、お兄が弟みたいだよ。
うるさいな。
はいはい、よしよし。
Nanami jokingly pat my head. It might have only been a bit of messing around to Nanami, but to me right now, the feeling was immensely comforting.
ななみ、頼みがある。
何？
Normally, Nanami and I only ever got into arguments, so it was pretty embarrassing to ask her for a favor. But I couldn't bring myself to care about that right now.
今日も
なんでそこで黙っちゃうかな。ちゃんと言ってくれなきゃわかんないってば。
今日も泊まっていってくれ。
I'd feel a little more at ease if she did. I couldn't stand the thought of staying in this room all alone. completely terrified of Shogun. But Nanami would probably be against it. She'd likely call me a pervert for it, especially since I'd had so much trouble saying it. I nervously turned to Nanami, expecting that reaction.
なんだそんなことか。別に何泊したっていいよ。
本当？
一応ナナだってお兄の心配はしてるんだからね。さすがに今のお兄を放っておけないよ。
ありがとう。助かる。
Thank God. Family really is the best. No, my blood-related little sister. She's the best. Oh, Nanami, I'm so glad we're related.
What? Why is there weird emphasis on that? When I address my sister, I don't go like, "Hello, blood-related sister. Hi, how are you doing? I am so glad we're related." Okay, well, I'm so glad we're related is a common thing to say, but like,
And really, if she got rid of that bratty side of her, she would 100% be the ideal little sister.
whoosh.
Nanami wasn't coming back. Earlier at around noon, Nanami had gone to get clothes from home, as well as something to eat while she was out. With a carefree wave of her hand, she'd given me a "be back soon," then left. 8 hours had passed since then. I hadn't gone online or even watched Bloodtoon. I'd simply sat on the couch, doing nothing but waiting for Nanami to come back. Ever since she'd left, I'd been clutching my phone tightly, checking it every passing minute for any emails or calls from Nanami. Though I tried calling from my end, all I'd ever get was a message saying that the signal hadn't gone through or that her phone was off. Why wasn't she coming back? Had our parents said something to her? If so, what would have it been? It doesn't matter if you two are siblings. Boys and girls your age shouldn't be staying in the same tiny room overnight, or something. Sounds about right. Yeah, no. Maybe they were just giving her hell over losing her uniform. When I thought about it for a second, I realized that Nanami would have been wandering the streets of Shibuya totally nude before arriving at my base. To put it bluntly, this was actually pretty serious. It wouldn't surprise me if it had turned into an outright criminal case. Because of that, I wouldn't put it past our parents to freak out and call the police in a panic. But what if it was none of that? What if it was actually so much worse? What if this time, while Nanami was heading home, Shogun, or maybe his underling Yua, had kidnapped her? And if that wasn't bad enough, what if they'd already killed her? The possibilities of having another email from Shogun made me too scared to check my inbox at all.
ナナミ、僕を一人にしないで。
Please, hurry and come back. Until I finally calm back down, I want you to forget all about school and stay by my side the whole time. Yumi promised me that, but she disappeared on me. If you disappeared, Nanami, I... Clutched in my hand, my cell phone began to vibrate. The second I noticed it, I immediately pressed the answer button, and the call connected.
もしもし、ナナミ。おい、ナナミ、今どこにいる？
お兄、助けて。
A shudder ran through me. Oh, God. Had Shogun really abducted her?
どうして見捨てたの？ねえ、お兄。
将軍か。あいつに何かされたの？
痛いよ。 る。痛いの。
まただ。
Sluggishly lowering my phone, I mumbled that almost unconsciously. Deja vu. It was just like the call from yesterday. Back then, she'd said, "Give me back my right hand." I thought it was just a prank. But was I mistaken? I didn't know. I cowered in place, holding my head. Anami, where are you? Please come back already.
Ugh.
Staggering, I aimlessly made my way outside. The sky was already dark as could be. The moon was nowhere to be seen. The distant outline of Shibuya was covered in a faint light. Going outside was a start, but I still wasn't anywhere close to having the strength to find Nanami. Should I give her another call? It was certainly possible that she was still pranking me for the second day in a row. Maybe I was really overthinking this.
兄、何してんの？
A tale of two Nanamis.
Startled, I looked toward the voice, and I saw Nanami standing there, looking puzzled. She must have changed clothes, given her outfit was different than when she'd left. She also had a shopping bag in her hand.
お前、今までどこに？
ごめんね、遅くなっちゃって。お母さんと一緒に新しい制服を買いに行ってたら、こんな時間になっちゃった。
That was the best answer I could have hoped for. Though, even then, one thing still bothered me.
さっきの電話は？
電話って？ああ、メールで送れるって伝えておけばよかったね。
そうじゃなくて、電話してきただろ。僕の携帯に。
してないよ。鬼、ボケボケだね。
Nanami's answer seemed pretty relaxed. This conversation was just beyond off. Talk about dissonance.
それより、今日の晩ご飯、なんだと思う？ひひ、なんと、ハンバーグだよ。ナナの手作りだよ。これから作るから、お兄も手伝ってね。
待てよ。電話したよな。右手を返せとか言ったよな。
もう、しつこい。言ってないってば。誰かと間違えてるんじゃないの？
Putting on a very clearly sullen face, Nanami stormed into the container in a pout. Was I being deceived? It didn't really seem like it. Not to mention, Nanami wasn't really the type to pull such shit-tier pranks. Or at least that was how I remembered her being. So, what was that phone call then? Another one of Shogun's traps? Right then, I felt a chill on the nape of my neck. Just like I was being watched. Whose eyes are those eyes? After we finished dinner,
ナナミ、話がある。
何？
without looking up from the manga she was reading, she gave an apathetic reply. She'd been flipping through various volumes from the piles of manga stacked in the corner, up in the corner of the room.
真面目な話だから、ちゃんと聞けよ。
どうしたの？急に改まっちゃって。
Perplexed, she closed the manga, strained her back, then faced me.
これでいい？
おとといのことは、何か思い出した。
The day before yesterday, Nanami had been cowering outside my container house, completely naked. Her clothes, school bag, and bangle were all missing. As for her phone, it had been sent to me in a cardboard box covered in blood. Nothing about this was normal. Nanami had said herself that not even she knew what had happened. She'd been suffering from mild amnesia. Was she still dealing with it, though? Maybe she'd recovered since then. After all, she was acting like she was totally back to her usual self. When I asked her if she remembered anything now, Nanami immediately frowned, then lightly shook her head from side to side.
まだ
全く全然
全く全然。なるべくね、そのことは考えないようにしてたんだ。お母さんにも話してないし。おかげで制服がなくなった理由ごまかすの大変だったよ。
Maybe I should take her to the hospital after all. I feel the study would amnesia even fall under. Psychiatry? If it is psych, then we should probably see Dr. Takashi.
He's dead.
At least that was my thought process. Until I remembered Dr. Takashina had been murdered as a part of New Gen. A sharp pain shot deep into my chest.
And trust me, that place is the last place you want to take her.
ナナミ僕は命を狙われてる。
3 of the victims died in that very hospital.
Nanami's eyes went wide. Of course, pretty much anyone would react like that if I suddenly said something so batshit. Problem was, the batshit stuff was the truth. So I decided to tell her everything. I told her about Shogun, about how I'd witnessed the third New Gen case, the crucifixion, and how after that, countless strange, terrifying things had been following me without end. I told her about the threatening emails and other messages Shogun had sent me right before she'd landed naked on my doorstep. And lastly, I told her about the 2 prank calls I'd received from a fake version of her. At first, Nanami forced a smile and said, "Big bro, don't you think you're being kinda delusional?" But eventually, she realized that I wasn't joking around, and her expression stiffened.
Oops.
いいか、これからしばらくは一人で外に出ちゃダメだ。どこで襲われるかわからないから。
お兄、ナナ怖いよ。
僕だって怖いよ。だから二人で協力するんだ。
If the 2 of us stuck together, we could keep each other safe. Not that I had any clue how a shitty older brother like me could keep her safe, nor how I'd support her feelings and whatnot. All I knew was that I couldn't bear it if she'd left me alone. I would have preferred help from someone who could have offered physical protection, but, well, my first choice would have been the police, but I was hesitant to talk to them. Those detectives I'd spoken to in front of the Kurenai conference hall hadn't shown themselves since then. What happened to all that talk of defending me? Besides, they still might have suspected me of being the culprit behind the crucifixion. Trusting the police was out of the question. Until I could think of a better countermeasure, the only choice I had was to stay locked in my base. Sinking into the couch, Nanami wrapped her arms around herself and simply trembled. Sitting on the couch myself, I stared idly at the Seroton poster hanging above my PC. The room was completely clean now. After telling Nanami everything, she'd gone silent for a moment out of fear, before breaking the news with a, "You know what, let's clean up in here." It'd taken 2 to 3 hours for things to get this clean. Guess she'd figured that keeping herself moving would mean she wouldn't have to think about everything else. She was lying in bed now. When was the last time that bed had been used for its intended purpose? I actually had used it for a couple months back when I first started living here. Or at least, I felt like I had. It was always such a hassle cleaning this place up. Every time I did it, it was total hell, and I just couldn't wait for it to be over. As things were now, though, I was glad it was actually clean for once. Last night, Nanami had slept on the couch, and I on the floor. So I couldn't be any happier to be sleeping on the couch tonight, because god damn had that not been uncomfortable. That said, I was a night owl by nature, so unlike Nanami, I wouldn't be drifting off so early. Well, yesterday had already ended, so I guess right now was technically early. I usually hit the sack once the sky started to brighten up. So yeah, I was pretty much just lying there on the couch, staring off into space. Had Nanami fallen asleep yet? Judging by her breathing, probably not. Then, as if she'd somehow heard my thoughts, Nanami began to squirm around. She tossed and turned for a moment, before eventually showing her face.
ねえ、お兄。
寝てなかったの？
うん。
Nanami looked like she had something on her mind. After a moment, she timidly spoke up.
あのね、一緒に寝てあげようか？あ、別にナナが一緒に寝たいわけじゃないよ。ほら、ダメダメお兄は怖くて怖くて一人じゃ寝つけないみたいだから、本当は嫌だけど、今日だけは特別ってことで。
Her voice slowly got weaker and weaker as she spoke. Try as she might to keep up the front, at the end of the day, Nanami was just too scared to sleep. So, that was how I'd ended up in this situation.
もし、いやらしいことしたら、本気で怒るからね。
Dude, he's your brother.
するわけないだろ。
わかんないじゃん。ついムラムラしちゃったりするんじゃないの？
Dude, he's your brother.
しないって言ってるだろ。妹にムラムラなんかできるか？
それはそれでちょっとショック。少しくらいムラムラしてほしいな。
Dude, that's your brother.
誰がするか。文句ばっかり言うなら一緒に寝るのはなしだ。
ごめんなさい。もう言いません。
Nanami went silent, pursing her lips in a pout. This was way more embarrassing than I'd anticipated. My heart was beating oddly fast. Sure, she was my sister, but never once had I ever been this close to a 3D girl. Not to mention we were literally sleeping in the same bed. Dude, that's your sister. I'd audibly said I wasn't ever gonna get turned on, but the truth was, that'd been a lie. Frankly speaking, I was already borderline.
Dude, that's your sister.
God, why'd Nanami have to be staring at me? Close your eyes already. Don't look. It's embarrassing.
なんだか変な感じだね。ねえ、お兄はナナのこと鬱陶しいって思ってる？
え？
思ってるんだ。
I mean, she was right. I did. She was a brat. She was always yapping on and on about dumb shit. And she was always finding some way to interfere with my life. I suppose it was more fitting to say that I used to think of her that way. For the past couple of days or so, I've been spending more and more time with her. And during that time, even when she was feeling so incredibly weak, she'd still put on a smile and put up with a pathetic person like me. When I thought of it that way, it made me start to think that my sister was genuinely a source of comfort to me. Maybe even a really big one.
思って ないよ。
別に思われたって平気だよ。ただね、勘違いしてほしくないんだけど、ナナはお兄のこと嫌いなわけじゃないからね。
Where the hell did that come from?
お兄って前入院してたでしょ。それで
入院はしてない。通院してただけだ。
嘘、入院してたじゃん。
してない。お前の勘違い。
そうだっけ。まあいいけど、とにかくお兄が学校も行けなくて大変だった時にナナがしっかりしなくちゃって思うようになったの。いつもお兄に口うるさくあれこれ言ってたのだって、そういう理由なんだよ。お兄が嫌いだったからとかじゃないよ。昔はお兄が病院に行くようになる前は、ナナはいつもお兄に甘えてたよね。お兄はナナにとっては頼りになるお兄だった。お兄のこと大好きだった。
Past tense, huh?
だから今度はナナがしっかりして、少しでもお兄の負担にならないようにして、お兄の役に立とうと思って。あんまり役に立ててたかどうかわかんないけど。
ダメな兄貴でごめん。
Maybe it was because of where I was, but for whatever reason, it was easier to say things I wouldn't normally say.
気にしないでいいよ。兄弟だもん。それに
Yes,
ナ
remember
ナは
that.
昔の頼りがいのあるお兄のことも知ってるし、どんなにダメでもナナはお兄のこと嫌いになんてならないからね。
ナナミ。
So that was how Nanami felt. I was incredibly happy. At this point, I would never stop kicking myself for thinking that having a 3D sister would suck ass. Having a sister, having Nanami was a blessing.
でも今日はちょっとだけ甘えてもいい？
Okay, yes. So, Mamoru Suwa and Hazuki Shino are both the killers. Suwa participated in all the murders, but Hazuki only directly killed 2 people. Let's see, what else? Yeah. This guy Takumi is actually a clone of your real brother. I'll stop it. I just want to keep going.
さっきは強がり言っちゃったけど、本当はね、一人で横になってるとどんどん怖い想像ばっかりしちゃうんだ。だからお兄に甘えたかったの。安心したかったの。
Nestling her body up against mine, Nanami buried her face in my chest. She smelled really nice.
ずっとこうしたかったんだ。ずっとお兄に甘えたかったんだ。
I couldn't help but embrace her slender body. I then hugged her tighter, then tighter. As long as I had Nanami, nothing else mattered. I didn't need Seraton. I didn't need people bowing down to me in ESL. All I needed was Nanami, a girl of flesh and blood, a girl who always had me on her mind. Feeling her warmth on my skin put my mind entirely at ease. Next thing I knew, I was falling into a deep, gentle sleep. When I woke up, I was lying on the couch.
俺
That was weird. I thought I'd been asleep in my bed with Nanami. Had I woken up just enough to make my way over here, but not enough to realize it? I looked up at the bed, only to see a bulge under the sheets. Nanami must have still been asleep. I checked the time on my phone. Huh? I felt an odd sense of discomfort. Something wasn't right. I had no idea what, though. It was like my brain had no idea what was going on anymore. What date is it today?
November 4th.
If I remembered correctly, I was pretty sure it wasn't November yet. I mean, how the hell could I have gone to sleep and then woken up at 8 p.m.? What, did that mean I'd slept for almost 20 straight hours? Yeah, not a chance. It didn't matter how much I'd let my guard down since I was with Nanami. There was no way I would have gone that much shut-eye. I had to wonder if my phone was just broken, and therefore the date and time were wrong. But when I checked, the date and time on my PC were the same as my phone. A little past 8 p.m. on November 4th.
嘘だろ。嘘だよ。
Muttering that to myself, I connected to the internet, opening both my browser and emails as I scoured the latest news. But no matter where I looked, the date always indicated November 4th. I read through countless news articles before one in particular caught my eye.
Boy Messiah is a no-show. Protests. In it, a Japanese boy claimed that he was going to use his clairvoyance to expose the true culprit behind the colloquially named New Gen, and that it would all happen at that very night at Scramble Crossing. The boy was deemed to be a worthy successor by the very popular psychic detective Yuri Brightman, adding some weight to his claim. As the letter of questionable origin was signed by Yuri Brightman himself, it was believed to be highly credible, leading Today TV and Fuji Sun TV to begin a live broadcast starting at 9 p.m. And yet, their judgment would soon be found to be incredibly poor. In the end, the boy never showed, leaving the onlookers gathered in Scramble Crossing very upset, and with nowhere to direct their anger. The event was viewed as a travesty by the public, leading to a large amount of protests occurring against Today TV and Fuji Sun TV. The PR department of Today TV tells Zako Zako, with the recent earthquake in the New Gen cases, the eyes of the entire nation are all on Shibuya. As a public broadcasting organization, we admit that while the source may have indeed been questionable, we deem that it had merit in broadcasting. We stand by this decision.
The date was dated October 28th, 1 week ago.
And that was the last date that was on his phone.
Could all this be connected to Shogun and the email he'd sent summoning me? Shogun had definitely sent me an email saying to come to the Ofren at 9 p.m. That couldn't just be random coincidence. What's more, what the hell? Something's off here.
It changed from Dominatrix to Finger Food. And now there's Dokyun Puzzle.
For one, the 6th new gen case should have been the Dominatrix. And two, there had been a 7th new gen case. Dokyun Puzzle. New gen? What? When had all that happened? Starting at the new gen bulletin, I froze completely, staring.
メールだよボケナス
It took the sound of Seraton's voice to bring me back to myself. Apparently I had an ungodly amount of new emails. My computer was finally ready to download them all.
I'm gonna kill you. Yep, Shogun with a U. Who is probably Suwa.
Why didn't you show up? Don't say I didn't warn you. I promise you, you really shouldn't ignore me. You're a cunt. You've got some nerve. Don't be such a dumbass. You think I'm stupid? I'm gonna kill you.
Yep, sounds like Suwa.
53 new emails, and they were all from Shogun. Every single title was openly, entirely confrontational. I'd never once seen Shogun swear like that before.
Yeah, it's Suwa.
Feelings of fear and confusion made a disgusting, nasty sweat bead across my entire body. Nervous as could be, I clicked open the most recent email.
Not a single reply all week. I'm not the sort of moron you're making me out to be. If that's your plan, then I'll see to it that Nanami-chan gets tortured even more. If I overdo it a bit and she ends up dead, don't blame me for it. It'd be all your fault, not mine. You're the bad guy here.
What was going on? What was going on, goddammit? Calm down. Take a deep breath. I stopped for a second to think. This was all just a delusion. Yeah, it was all just a dream. Just a dream talking to me. I was gonna wake up, and then the laugh track would ensue. Then I'd realize that I was sleeping with Nanami in my bed. And then I'd be back in reality. A knocking sound resounded from my door. It was coming from outside. Who was it? I held my breath, eyes glued to the door. Silence. No sign of life at all. But the moment I thought I'd just been hearing things, the knocking sound came again. I hadn't been hearing things. Oh God, was it Shogun? After all this time, had he finally come here to kill me? And yet, when I heard the voice from beyond the door, it was beyond even my wildest expectations.
Nami.
Huh? How? My eyes snapped to the bed. Nanami should have been asleep there. There was a bulge right under the white sheets.
Oi, Nanami. 起きろ。
I climbed partway up the ladder to the bed and told Nanami to wake up. Yet the sheets didn't move an inch. Something wasn't right.
Nanami!
I violently threw them off, and beneath them were just a bunch of cardboard boxes. Nanami wasn't there.
Eh?
My mind went blank. And not only was Nanami not there, but the bed wasn't even clean. It would have been impossible to sleep in. There were boxes upon boxes stuffed full of manga and eroge. That was how it had looked right before Nanami had cleaned it up yesterday. But now, it was right back to normal. Right back to being a spot I used for storage. Wait, hadn't Nanami cleaned up yesterday? I looked around the room. Not a damn thing about it was even close to clean. Why hadn't I noticed that sooner after waking up a few minutes ago? I was at a total loss. My memories were all jumbled up. I heard a voice from outside again. Nanami's voice. Who was that Nanami? What was the Nanami I'd slept with? What happened to the naked, trembling Nanami? I didn't understand. I didn't understand a damn thing. I stumbled my way to the door, then clung onto it. The inside was locked with a padlock. This entire container had been a locked room. It would have been impossible for Nanami to sneak out while I was asleep. I was on the brink of tears. This had to be an attack from Shogun. Still, I knew I had to open the door, because outside was Nanami's voice. It was incredibly weak, and it was calling for me. And so, I undid the lock, and then I slowly opened the door.
What in the hell?
was there, wearing her missing uniform, her entire body covered in blood, her right hand severed, wielding a blade I'd never seen before, a D-sword. Her hollow eyes turned toward me, stunned as I could be. I couldn't say a word.
どうしてあの時来てくれなかったの。1週間も待ってたのに。お兄助けてってずっと呼んでたのに。
This was a delusion. This was a delusion. This was a delusion.
右手が痛いの。返して7の右手。右手を返して。朝起きてから右手がちょっとズキズキするの。
Which is real? Which was a delusion? What was I looking at? Who had I been talking to until now? Where had that Nanami gone? Where did this Nanami come from?
お兄
Suddenly, I heard Nanami's voice come from behind me. In front of me was Nanami, covered in blood. Behind me was Nanami calling out to me. Fear gripping me, I nervously turned around. And behind me was Nanami, wearing the clothes I'd lent her, her right hand still perfectly attached. There were 2 Nanamis.
そいつ誰。
That is a new sprite for Nanami, and one that is weirdly... one that looks like a completely different art style.
The 2 Nanamis spoke in unison. When Nanami saw Nanami, her expression grew puzzled. When Nanami also saw Nanami, her expression grew tearful. Caught between 2 Nanami's sight.
これは妄想だ。
Sank to the floor, clutching my head. But this was a delusion. I wanted to wake up already. I didn't want to see a delusion this horrifying. And yet, no matter how much I wanted to wake up, I couldn't get back to reality.
その偽物何なの。
The blood-stained Nanami shifted and swayed. She held onto her D-sword, a sword both pitiful and sinister, with a height comparable to even her own.
なんで偽物がお兄と一緒にいるの。そいつのせいでナナを助けに来てくれなかったの。ナナは偽物じゃないよ。そっちこそそんな変な剣持って偽物じゃん。
Both voices belong to Nanami. Both faces belong to Nanami. Both called me Big Bro.
Yeah, I think... Yep. Nanami somehow accidentally cloned herself.
Which Nanami was real. Which Nanami was fake.
Shogun, mind, chiming in here?
Were they both real? Were they both fake?
偽物のくせにお兄から離れてよ。
Blood-stained Nanami brandished her D-sword with one hand and swung it with incredible ease. The end of it was aimed straight toward the non-blood-stained Nanami's neck. Making no attempt to avoid it, Nanami froze in place. It hit her head on. The brutal, unforgiving edge of the D-sword dug into her neck, and then it slipped right through. The non-bloodstained Nanami should have been decapitated, and yet there wasn't even a drop of blood. She wasn't even injured. She simply stood there, just as she had been the whole time. There wasn't any doubt that Nanami had swung the D-sword, and with that amount of force behind it, Nanami's head should have been blown clean off.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna explain what was behind fake Nanami in the ending A.
やっぱり偽物。あ、ナナはなんで？
Stop.
偽物だからだよ。偽物じゃない。
Shut up already.
お兄、離れて。そいつから離れて。違うよお兄。ナナはここにいるよ。
黙れよ。
I couldn't help but scream. It was all just so goddamn confusing.
どっちかが妄想だ。僕の妹は、ナナミは二人は存在しないんだ。
I alternated between the two Nanamis, comparing them. Both looked like Nanami to me, so I turned to the one wearing my sweatshirt. I wished from the bottom of my heart that this Nanami was real, that the Nanami I'd held tightly in my bed was real. So I followed my desire. I reached out my hand toward her face, so I could gently brush her cheek. But just like the D-sword before me, my hand slipped right through her. Even though Nanami was right there, I couldn't touch her. I felt nothing there, as if she were a holographic projection. I was overwhelmed by an uncontrollable sadness. Tears flooded from my eyes in large drops.
I guess she's intangible because the real Nanami is denying her existence.
嘘だよ。ナナは偽物じゃないよ。ねえ、お兄、そうだよね。そうだって言ってよ。
Nanami tried to cling on to me, and I tried to hold her in return. And yet, just as I feared, the Nanami before me had no substance. My hand slipped right through her body.
違う。違うもん。ナナはここにいるもん。
Nanami's right hand firmly grasped my left.
Oh. Oh no. This is Nanami, but it's her right hand.
I could feel it. I could feel her frail strength grasping my hand. I could feel neither her body, nor her head, nor her neck. Only her right hand was touching me.
I initially thought maybe this was possible, but I remembered him touching her shoulders, so I just assumed not.
化け物。
Plus, there was the fact that Rimi apparently gave Shogun the right hand. Or, well, in this situation, Nanami's hand never even made it to Takebe.
The Nanami without a right hand shouted out.
お兄から今すぐ離れて。
The very next second, all power drained from her body, and while still holding on to her D-sword, she fell to the ground with a thud. Sweat was pouring from that Nanami's forehead. The color was draining from her face. Considering her right hand had been cut off, and she was bleeding profusely. It was only a matter of time until she passed out. An awful thought passed through my mind. I knew it couldn't be true, but I couldn't stop myself from thinking about it. In my mind, it was the only answer to all of this. An answer that was no less than a nightmare.
そうだよ。
I heard a voice that wasn't Nanami's.
タクが今考えた通りなの。
Behind the fallen Nanami, standing outside the door, was
リミ。
wielding a wing-like D-sword. Sakihata Rimi was standing right there. Our eyes met. She looked at me with deeply sad eyes.
あなたが今右手を握っているそのナナちゃんはあなたがリアルブートしようとしている存在。
Real boot.
現実に耐えられなくなったあなたが産んだの。理想度を持ってるナナちゃんが本物なんだよ。
So I guess he did see her hand, but he was so shaken by it because he's become so attached to her in this series of events that he turned the hand into Nanami.
嘘言わないでよ。ナナの方が本物だもん。たく、あなたはナナちゃんの切断された手首を見てショック状態になったの。そして妄想した。そんな手首は見てないって。ナナちゃんは5体満足で無事だって。
I hadn't seen a hand. Shogun had only sent a blood-stained cell phone. Or had the hand been there? Maybe I'd been trying not to see it. Maybe I'd been refusing to. So she was saying that Nanami being naked was something I'd made up. And that the real Nanami, the one who was standing in front of me, covered in blood and missing her right hand, had been kidnapped by Shogun.
嘘だ。
本当なの。ねえタク、今すぐ妄想するのをやめて。あなたがしようとしていることは人間を一人丸々作り出すっていう恐ろしい行為なんだよ。あなたは今核兵器のエネルギーをも上回る力を使ってる。そのせいでこの1週間あなたはほとんど昏睡状態だった。自覚してないかもしれないけど。
I see.
タク、このままじゃ本当にこの世界に2人のナナちゃんがいることになるの。それにあなたがその妄想に力を使えば使うほど命の灯火が失われていく人がいるんだよ。だから
嘘だ。
ごめんね。あなたを守れなかった私の責任だよね。だけどお願い。辛いかもしれないけど現実を見て。今すぐ妄想を止めて。お兄、消さないで。これ以上妄想を続けるなら私があなたを殺す。
I shook off Nanami's right hand. It was all too much. I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't have the slightest clue what to believe. Believing Rimi's explanation, I just couldn't. Believing Nanami,
He was standing there in tears. I just couldn't. Believing Nanami, who was lying there grasping a D sword. I just couldn't. Believing myself and what I felt. I just couldn't. What I wished for was something simple. A quiet, peaceful life with nothing to disturb it. A wonderful, blissful future with Nanami. With my sister. That was all I wished for. That was all I hoped for. Was I not allowed that wish? Was I not allowed that hope? Then everyone should just disappear. This whole world should just be erased. In my own head, disturbed by no one, inside my delusion, I could live in a world neither real nor fake. A world with just the two of us. Just me and one Nanami.
僕は
I peered into Nanami's eyes. They were glistening with tears. Nanami was looking at me.
ナナミがいてくれればそれでいいんだ
I whispered that loud. The very next second, the world jolted.
サードメルト
My wish had come true. The world was enveloped in light. All and everything was consumed in it, by it. And as literally as could be, it was all erased. When I opened my eyes, I saw the familiar ceiling of my container house. I was lying on my back, right on top of my bed. Huh? Had I fallen asleep? It felt like I'd just been dreaming about something truly horrifying. Like I'd just been dreaming about something truly nauseating. It had been just a dream. It couldn't have been anything else. Whether that was reality or just a dream didn't matter to me. Whether this was reality or just a delusion didn't matter to me. I felt a gentle weight on my chest. Moving my eyes toward it, I saw her. It was Nanami, sprawled out on my chest. Our eyes met. Nanami was watching me closely. Her eyes were wet. Her cheeks dyed the color of cherry blossoms.
昨日の夜はありがとう
At first, I didn't understand what she meant.
ナナの気持ち受け入れてくれて嬉しかったお兄に愛してもらえて嬉しかったお兄のこと今までよりずっと好きになっちゃった
Right. So this must have been one of those so-called character roots you saw in Eroge. And surprisingly enough, I took the situation in stride. Nanami seemed cuter than ever right now. I couldn't help but think about how lovable she was. I saw her both as my sister and as a girl.
これからもたくさんナナのこと愛してね
だが断るって言ったら
Old habits die hard, I guess. Nanami's face soured as she sat up.
もう真面目な話してるのにお兄のバカ
She got out of bed. Crap, how could I possibly make it up to her? That was when I noticed what was in my hand. Bringing it closer to my face, I realized what it was. A bangle. It wasn't the one I'd given her before, however. This one was way fancier, way cuter. It would look really good on her. Thinking that to myself, I got out of bed too.
ナナミこれプレゼント
I slipped it on Nanami's right wrist as she stared blankly at me. It was a little like putting a wedding ring on her finger. That made me feel pretty damn awkward.
あー、かわいいバングルだ。ナナにくれるの？
When I nodded, Nanami smiled from the bottom of her heart. She looked happier than I'd ever seen her before.
大事にするね。
ナナミ、僕たちはずっと一緒だよね。
え？いきなりどうしたの？
ずっと一緒にいたいんだ。ナナミとずっと一緒に。
やだな。そんな大胆なこと言い出すなんてお兄らしくないよ。熱でもあるの？あ、わかった。からかってるんでしょ。
本気だよ。
お兄、それって兄弟として？それとも一人の女の子として？
両方。
両方。両方か。お兄の気持ち初めて聞けたかも。ナナのことそんな風に思ってたんだ。
キモいかな。
Considering you don't know the truth and she supposedly also doesn't know the truth, I'd say both of you are freaks. Then again, you're also the one who technically brought this Nanami into existence, so the way she feels may just be your own wish fulfillment.
キモくないよ。むしろすごく嬉しい。まあお兄がそこまで言ってくれたんだし、しょうがないからナナも一緒にいてあげるよ。ただし一つだけね、条件があるの。
条件？
あのね。
Nanami squirmed ever so slightly. Her face turned bright red. She then stared directly into my eyes.
キスしてほしいな。
Please don't force me to watch this.
Those were her words. I'd do anything Nanami asked. My mind was already made up. She and I would live together, just the two of us. I didn't need anything else. As long as I had Nanami, nothing else mattered.
ダメ？兄弟でキスなんて不潔かな？
Yes! Yes, very much so.
I shook my head.
そんなことないよ。
お兄。
At least it's blocked by his head. Thanks for small blessings. With those words, Nanami left into my arms and kissed me. I was kissing my little sister. My sister's sweet sighs passed through my lips. I was overwhelmed with happiness, along with feelings of intense fulfillment. I was brimming with love for Nanami. And for some reason, for only just a moment, I felt incredibly sad. Yes, because you murdered your real sister and replaced her with the waifu hand. What? You literally pulled a Yoshikage Kira. Literally. Except you turned the hand into a person. Reverse Yoshikage Kira. Now you've made the incestuous waifu of your dreams. Congratulations. Thankfully, this seems to at least say that there's room to doubt that the real Nanami feels this way. I hope not. Warm drops found their way down my cheeks. As those tears flowed, this world where Nanami was, I wouldn't let anyone harm it. I'd make absolutely sure they would stay safe. No matter what happened, I'd always protect it. So, we pretty much got nothing out of that experience whatsoever. That didn't explain anything that I thought it might explain. Ended in weird incest. These two literally think they're blood-related siblings. And, I mean, I'm pretty sure they technically are. You know what? I'll take cringe Suwa over this at this point. Daydream. I see why it's called that now. I have nothing more to say other than disgusting. Disgusting. Disgusting.